I just now mentioned HIV and AIDS separately. Is there a difference? And if so, what is it?
Well, my background is in nursing, and as the CEO of the health center, I can give you a sketch of the difference. HIV, when we find the human papilloma, I almost said it, the virus for pap smear, so I'm so used to that. Anyway, the HIV virus, when we find it in someone's blood, it doesn't mean that they have anything that you can see that they have the disease, but they do carry the virus. So when we do a blood test, we detect it in the blood. People can, if they find out early enough, can take medicines that will prevent actually the disease from transforming into a series of syndromes that can cause lesions on the skin. It causes a type of a leukemia where the body immune system is repressed, and where people are suffering. They can be exposed to things like tuberculosis and get very sick, or they can get pneumonia, and they have a lot of different diseases that they can catch because their immune system is suppressed.
So that's what AIDS is. It isn't one specific disease. It's a manifestation of various diseases that develop from the HIV virus.
Yes, the virus reduces people's immune response, and then they become they can catch other diseases, and then there's a whole series of syndromes that people can have, and they are very different from one another, but there's many different treatments depending on the type of syndrome people have. The important thing, though, today, if you get tested early and you suppress the HIV virus, then you're not as likely to actually have the symptoms of AIDS as people did in the old days.
Well, given the options that people have today in terms of powerful drugs, and you just mentioned getting treated early, why is it that AIDS in minority populations, why is it increasing?
I would defer to Reverend Fraser and Connie, because they are a little more of the experts around that topic, but it certainly is socioeconomic issues.
Well, as I understand it, communities of color have more males incarcerated. A disproportionate number of our males are incarcerated. And many times in that situation, things happen that wouldn't ordinarily happen. And when they come back into the community, they forget about that behavior that they had when they were incarcerated in prison. And so as a result, many women who innocently get infected because they're not aware that it would be the wise thing to do to find out about the history of their husband or partner before they engage in sexual activity with them. And as a result, we have a disproportionate number of females of color who are infected. It's not because we're more promiscuous or any of those things. It's because we need to be educated and take care of our health.
Now, I would think if men pick it up while they're incarcerated, not only would there be a high proportion of women, but I would also think of the men themselves. Does that logically follow?
Yeah, it sounds logical, certainly.
Sure. But if you're not telling, or you tend to forget what happened when you were in prison, and you're not getting tested either, then you're not, or if you are, you aren't telling anybody that you're positive, then that causes a problem.
And also recognize that HIV is not visible to the eye.
Right.
Excuse me, you don't see it. So you could look healthy, and people believe that one might be healthy but not consider the complications that occur when you especially get involved intimately. And I think when you're looking at the minority community, the education, Pastor Fraser, that you spoke about is very important, because behaviors have to change.
Right.
They have to change about your sexual interactions when you meet people, and also the drug use, the drug abuse that is being done. And although not as likely, but it does occur when you're dealing with blood transfusions. When you're dealing with, especially the African American community, you're dealing with things like sickle cell, or you're dealing with kidney diseases, that you go through dialysis and those types of things, although now that there are a lot of precautions that are being taken place. But the fact of the matter is, I think that there's a lot of education and behavior change that needs to occur in the minority community.